Doing a little F-32 cruising around today in the old car we're making into a race car. It's missing a few pieces, just a little bit, including a windshield and a hood and a trunk and doors, sunroof, HVAC. All right. Back at it with the Project F-32 race car. This thing is back from getting the roll bar jig created. Now it's time to strip more of it out and play some more games of unplugging the stuff until it doesn't run, figure out what causes a problem. We did a little phase of that, kind of an early phase, and now time to dig in deeper, going to get the dash out. We have the doors off of it now, which we know the doors unplugged didn't do anything other than an alarm. So gonna keep messing around. I have a feeling as we start unplugging stuff from the dash, it's gonna cause a problem. We've got this baby getting there. Dave is working on getting airbags unplugged. He got the center console out. Made it to make a little bracket of some sort for the shifter surround. Curious what all we're gonna run into. Getting ready to go get some stuff done for cage prep as we're working on a cage kit similar to what we did with the E46 cage package that was super successful. Now want to help make it easier for F-32 cars and hopefully come up with a system that also works with F8X cars so that we can also have a cage option for those. So one thing I want to do is weigh the doors as they're off, see what they weigh. We're going to get those things gutted out, trimmed out. I'm kind of curious what they're going to weigh when we're done. So going to go ahead and start there, get some weights on these doors. What do we got? Door panel, window, glass, motor, everything. 80 plus pounds per door, kind of fluctuating a little bit. I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it 80. What do you got? We're going to go 78.4. 78.4 is what I'm calling it. All right. That's a big door. I'm looking forward to seeing what that thing weighs after Dave gets that thing gutted. We got to gut it out, A, for weight, but also to get the cage intrusion bars for going into the door a little bit to make maximum space for the cage for the driver. Making some progress, about to go for a test drive. This door has gone on a bit of a diet. It now weighs approximately 40 pounds, but we are actually going to get some more weight out of that. I think we're going to try cutting around here, get some of that metal out, and see if we can't get this brace out and then work on a mounting solution. Dave is working on getting a seat in there for me so I can drive this thing with no doors, so that'll be interesting. Have unplugged various things, lots of airbag things, and well, we're going to see what happens. Got a number of things to start unplugging on this to see what we break. Time to go drive this thing. This is possibly about to get interesting. Dave did put a seatbelt buckle back in to give me a little bit of safety as I try to drive this thing without any doors. Hey, radio still works. It feels very weird not having a mirror. I keep looking for them and I got nothing. Yeah, I'm driving on the road. I gotta test stuff out. Did you undo anything for the brakes? Well, I got a drivetrain malfunction. I had something about the brake system. Drive moderately, avoid hard braking. I'm gonna take it up the road and just see what happens, and then we'll probably hook up a scan tool to it. And then, but I feel like you messed with. We unplugged airbag things. This maybe.
Maybe, but it wasn't. When we unhooked that, the battery was disconnected.
Talking about the e-brake.
Take it up our own, see.
All right. We did an ABS test previously, so we know that the ABS works from the last round of things we unplugged. We're starting to get into problems now. We call this panoramic view. All right, so we got a bunch of faults. ABS system, brake system, drivetrain malfunction, check engine light, chunk of other things. I didn't realize it on my first lap. While I was letting the car warm up, and then the second lap, there's no speedometer. So I'm not sure, something is not picking up a speed signal. It actually had okay power in third gear, but second gear, it would go to about 3,000 RPM and then sputter and short shift. So gonna see what we may have unplugged that would have caused the speedometer to not work, as that probably is the key to whatever the issue currently is. Time to figure it out. All right, running through this with Dave, trying to understand what we've unplugged, what he's unplugged, and it seems like nothing should have done with the speedometer, so a little bit confused as to what the deal is. Probably the wise thing to go ahead and do then, if we're not sure what it is, let's hook up a scan tool and see what it says. Although, how many codes is this thing going to throw? I don't even know. It's going to be a lot. So we're going to look for things related to ABS, DSC, and go from there, I think. But there's this little module right here that says airbag, and I was like, oh, well, Dave left that plugged in, and we did all the airbag stuff, so I'm going to undo the airbag. But it seems like maybe that one was a bit of a problem. I have speedometer again. You coming with me, Dave? Oh, all right. All right, let's try this again. Oh, yeah, we got juice again. All right. So now I got to figure out what exactly that module is, because it clearly is integral to something with the running of the car. So good to figure that out. That one might be important. All right, feels good with that test. Let's unplug some more stuff. I don't know what we're going to unplug next. I kind of want to try to unplug that same thing we just had and see what happens. The codes are back as soon as I unplugged it, so that is clearly something that is important. I'm going to figure that one out. Got to keep unplugging stuff. Going to try, I think we got an amp back here. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues. I think this telematic unit may be integral to the iDrive. I'm not totally sure, but we're going to find out. All right. Round 2 for this one. I don't know what the total rounds are, but go do some more no-door driving. Safety first. Oh, iDrive still works. Skirt. I skirted on out of here too fast. But first, the radio does not work. iDrive still works. But can you close the trunk?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what all is next. I don't really know what this is, but I'm going to unplug it. What is that thing? It's got to be like an acceleration sensor or something. Feels like an impact type sensor. I'm going to undo these. Also not totally sure what these are. I kind of want to unplug this thing. Well, time to retrace some steps a little bit, because now she won't fire up. I unplugged like 4 things that time. I took too many steps at once. So now I've got to backtrack, plug it back in. There's those 4 things I just unplugged. Unplugged the VDCI module thing in the back. I unplugged these 2 sensors that I'm not sure what they are. I think they're impact sensors. And then unplugged the chocolate bar. Once I like that chocolate bar. And it wouldn't start. It wouldn't ignition on, engine off or anything. And then I plugged everything back in except the module in the back, and it fired up. So then I went back through and I did one by one, and it still fires up now.
Or for the switch, you know what I mean? Ignition switch.
Okay, now we're not starting again. Let's do these. Let's just try one. No, I got nothing. Nope. All right, let's try.
That's the sensor for the key.
This? Oh. Key sensor.
Oh.
So one in the front and one in the back. So that's what it was doing. But then if I... Yeah, Yeah, if I lock it and then try to unlock it, then it won't start. All right, so now we're trying the rear chocolate bar. This one's critical. We're learning stuff. Let's try swapping these just to see. All right.
So the same sensor, just wired up different stuff.
And just for good measure, one more time with it unplugged.
Did you lock it and unlock it?
Yeah, let me give it a little bit of time. Let me give it a second. I don't know what I'm doing clearly. All right, so I feel pretty comfortable that that is absolutely required. So Jonathan, who is behind the camera, will work on coming up with a mount for all this stuff and also a mount to accommodate this built into it as well. Isn't that right, Jonathan?
Absolutely.
I haven't driven it since that actually, so I need to drive it with my current situation. I don't know what that was. Oh, we got new problems, Dave. Yeah, like throws itself into park. This is a story right now. All right. No, that was. Oh, nope. Not happy about something. I can keep it in reverse if I have my foot hovering on the brake. As soon as I take my foot off, it goes back to park. I was trying to think. I mean, clearly I backed it out of the shop. And obviously shifting into park is something you don't want to have happen. Hold it outside. Oh, hey. Oh, buckling up. Let's see what that does. Well, first, now that it's slept for a second. Nope. All right. Let's see. Are you kidding me? I'm really glad we have this all on video because I haven't been taking notes. Because my note-taking machine is actually taking the video. But I need to know what all this stuff, because we've got like 3 things right now that are kind of important. This airbag that I thought was an airbag module, these chocolate bars, and apparently keeping this thing buckled in as at the point that we're at now is kind of important. Is the seat plugged in?
See if the seat's unhooked, does it go into a different mode?
Oh, buckle in. Okay.
We will bypass that. See if it does now.
Oh, right. All right, all right. All right. But I am going to buckle in. All right, so that one wouldn't let me go into sport mode, or I couldn't turn traction control off. Still had okay power, but it wasn't clearly something else that's causing an issue. So I need to figure out what exactly that module is that we just unplugged. I'm still not totally sure. But I think I'm going to call that for today. We'll pick this one up for some more unplugging action on Thursday, I think. But that's some good progress. We got some good stuff today, actually.
Doing a great job. Doing great.
Hey, thanks. Nice and breezy in here.
It's like a Jeep.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand. Daniel is working on removing some sound deadening this morning. He's already got a little bit out, got a little bit of weight in my hands. We're going to set all of this sound deadening to the side, weigh it, see how much we get out of this thing, but working on getting a little bit more weight out of this as we are getting it stripped down, getting ready for the cage. Get in at it, pry that stuff up. Daniel, you having fun?
Not really, but it gives me something to do.
Oh, Daniel, come on.
That's actually pretty therapeutic, so
That's
I
right.
don't mind it.
That's right. Well, have fun getting this stuff out of this car today. Continuing to get some weight out of this thing, we got a few panels of the sound deadening out. Actually feels a little bit heavier than I thought it would. Dave is trucking away at getting the reinforcements out of the door, which have been a little bit interesting as a learning process. We got a couple of the bars over here. He's making some good progress on getting the rest of this out, trying to keep it up off of the door skin because Dave does not want to cut the door skin. So, making progress, getting weight out of this thing. More updates with actual numbers soon. All right, so Dave has completed stripping this door out and gotten it gutted, and it feels pretty light. So let's go ahead and pop that baby off and see what we're looking at. We were 78.4 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, we're just gonna call that 32. So that's 46 pounds. Times 2 is 92. Yeah, 92. Once again, I struggle with math in my head sometimes, but I'm gonna call that 92 pounds. But that's a healthy amount of weight just there. The sound deadening is going to be a healthy amount of weight. Just all the interior is going to be a healthy amount of weight. I'm feeling a little more excited about where we're going to land on this thing weight-wise now to get the other door stripped and gutted so we can get all the cage intrusion and everything done, and then continue with the process of unplugging things, getting the dash out, and getting this baby ready for a cage. And then now we got the sunroof cassette is out. Let's see what we got here. 27.4. That didn't feel that heavy when I brought it over. That's a good amount of weight. So we'll replace that with a sunroof fill panel. So we'll end up with a couple pounds back in, but 27 pounds, I mean, you gotta think we're gonna at least drop 23 pounds out of the roof of that thing, that high weight. So we are just trucking on with getting some weight out of this thing. Super excited. Still more to come, more weight to get out, more things to unplug and check. Still haven't gotten done with that project, but getting closer to cage. I have been summoned to the shop to go take next steps with the F32. If I can figure out how to open this door. See what we got on this thing. Hopefully it's not too noisy out here. First, we have the dash out of it. And now we have a chunk of sound deadening out, still some more sound deadening to go, but we've kind of got all this stuff held up in place that now we are going to take next steps of unplugging more things. We got a lot more stuff to test and see if it actually runs. I think we're going to run into a number of things that are going to make this thing not run, but still want to go through, verify what our catches are. We're getting a bunch of weight out of this thing. I'm pretty pumped on some of the weight that's coming out. And we're going to end up taking the whole HVAC assembly area out and ultimately getting much closer to cage. But we got to make sure we know what we're getting into before we get the cage. It's an important part of the process to know we can put this thing back together and keep it running. So continuing with the experiment. Don't even know if this thing's going to start. Let's try that real quick. Got my start button down here. Hey. All right. I'm going to get this thing out of the shop and start unplugging more stuff. Guide me, sir. Hopefully it goes in reverse. I'm trusting him fully right now. I can't see anything. AC is working. I feel it on my feet. All right, that was success. Seems like I don't even know what all maybe has gotten unplugged. Some more airbags, I believe, have gotten unplugged. from the dash that is no longer in existence. And I'm going to start unplugging some more things. I'm going to start with these right here, which look to also be side impact sensors. Yeah, I guess we did get a bunch of, the sunroof cassette is out, the side airbags are out. So time to unplug a few more things. Side impact sensors. We've got this down here, which I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it looks like it goes to some speakers. So I'm going to unplug this. And then there's this airbag module down here that I want to try to unplug, which we had an issue with this airbag module. The car did not like when that was unplugged, so I'm not sure if it's going to like when that one is unplugged. All right, that's 4 more sensors. We got more passenger restraint faults. See if this thing fires up. Fired up. Range is 5 miles. Not great. All right, so we got a chassis fault. I'm guessing it's from that airbag system deal. So going to try plugging that back in. It won't go into DSC off either. Just make sure. Oh, never mind. It did. Let's see what we got. All right, DSC is off. But then once I get going, it trips back out. So something I did is unhappy. Also, we have next to no fuel in here, so I'm going to get that resolved. All right, I've been summoned again. Now that we've got a little more fuel in the car, time to go drive it again. Need to plug some stuff back in that I just undid because of that DSC off, not working right. But look at this thing. Look at my ride for right now. Just going to go for a little Monday cruise right now. All right, let's plug this back in. There's that. All right. Let's see if that does the trick. Fired up. I don't even know where anything is right now. That DSC off. Drive. All right, seems like we're happier with that. Oh, never mind. Just went off. All right, so it's still doing it. I think I may have missed it on my first drive earlier today, and that's probably why it's coming back. I'm guessing something else in this cluster of things got unplugged, and well, I'm gonna get a code reader and see if I can figure out what the chassis fault is for. Got my Foxwell tool. I'm hoping this thing will even read. This is about to be quite possibly the most codes I've ever had in any single car because, yeah, so much stuff is unplugged. That's correct. All right, what all have we got? We got FM module 37, DME 20, transmission 8, DSC 19, power steering 7, chassis management 2, crash 20, central gateway 3, tire pressure 1, instrument panel 14. All right, I'm going to clear these. Actually, I'm going to save these, get near some internet, and send these to myself via email. All right, what's the guess on how many errors we have? Dave, how many errors do you think we got?
48.
Rich, how many errors do you think we got in that thing?
33.
Wrong. 148. 148 errors. So I just emailed myself the reports, and I'm going to try to clear some of these out and see what happens, see what comes back. All right, not really sure what we've got going on currently, but just cleared a ton of codes out. A ton did not come back. Now let's drive it, see what we got. I still got a chassis fault on the iDrive screen, but we're going to see where we are currently. So let's get the DSC off. DSC's off. Let's go. All right, it did it again. So something is unhappy, but I'm not 100% sure what that something is just yet. Looked at the codes that were related to chassis faults because I figured that was probably what it was. and it said something about the receiver missing for the EDC. So I plugged the EDC box, whatever, back in, at least what I think is the EDC box, electronic taping control, and then it was all good. So now I'm going to unplug it again and see what happens. All right, let's get that DSC off. This nice up and panoramic view. Yep. All right, that did it. So EDC just needs to get coded out, I'm pretty sure. That's fine. I'm gonna plug it back in for the rest of the tests so that I have a known good base. Let's keep plugging, unplugging more stuff. This is getting a little bit tiring. You guys bored yet of me just unplugging stuff and taking this car around? I'm getting a little overwhelmed with this thing. But also, I'm getting really excited because every step we take here, we're getting closer and closer to getting this thing race ready, turning this F32 into a race car, trying to give you guys the recipe to turn it into a race car so that we can go racing with some friends in some F32s. Another round of needing to do stuff on this with unplugging. I feel like this process has taken forever, but really a lot of that is my fault because I keep getting sidetracked with other projects and things to do. But getting back at it, if you've made it with us this far, I don't know how much of this is actually going to make it into the video, but thanks for bearing with us as this has been a bit of a lengthy process to go through this. But time to dive back into this thing, hop into the driver's seat, unplug some more stuff. I don't even know what I'm going to unplug next, but we're about to find out. Looks like it houses a DVD. Oh, here we go. Satellite radio, all that stuff, some radio box things. All right, that's unplugged. Well, one of those was important for the iDrive. Maybe this is somewhat needed. What the heck is this box? All right, so I got this back. So the question starts to become, do we want to keep the iDrive? So I'm going to go ahead and unplug all this iDrive stuff and see if we do want to keep it. I'm not totally sure of that answer. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug this too and see what happens. This only had one plug to it. All right, so now flying a little bit blind. Got my normal lights that I've had on. Got no iDrive, nav stuff. What else was there? Oh, the HVAC stuff. ESC off. All right, good. Got to cycle through sport modes. Yup. Well, surprise, surprise. You know what that means. I'm going to go take this thing for a spin up and down the road real fast. Everything's working. A little windy for obvious reasons. My hair just blew into my eyeball. Still good power. Don't know if you can hear this, but now to see what we're gonna undo next. Looking around, gonna find something else to unplug. Let me start unplugging some HVAC things. How many motors for this dang HVAC system are there? Let's do this again. I just unplugged a bunch of stuff. Too much stuff. Shouldn't have done that. Should have done this at a slower process. We'll see what happens. Once again, only little by little, I keep getting this thing done. This thing feels kind of fast as we've gotten a lot of weight out of it, so it might be a little spicy when we get this baby in full track trim. Oh look, there's the other project. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for today, but we will hit this again soon. Other things we are working on, if I don't trip over anything as I'm walking backwards, are got some AC removed from this thing, figuring out what all is needed for that, figuring out belt routing and belt sizing with a plethora of random belts that we have. Also working on heater core delete because look, we got the whole HVAC module system up out of this thing. So working on capping the heater core lines. Looks like some lines that we have, look like some caps that we have for some other heater core delete kits are going to work for plugging the system on this thing. So that's pretty awesome that well, we know that BMWs are like Legos, and seems like a lot of things stay the same over the years. And fortunately, these caps are the same, which mean we can simply just add those on to getting these lines capped off. Going to continue working on getting this thing back in running condition as we are going to get the belt AC delete situation figured out, get the heater core delete figured out, get Daniel back there to maybe get all this sound deadening out, and then do a little bit more unplugging of things, and then time to get this baby caged. Daniel also just showed me the bag of sound deadening that he's been keeping. This thing is getting a little bit heavy. I'm gonna go weigh it and see where we're at, and we still have more to pull out. 14 pounds is the answer so far. Still a little bit to go. I got a feeling we're gonna land at about 17, 18 pounds when all said and done of sound deadening getting ripped out. Always trying to get a little more weight out of this thing. So next up, we've got the trunk sitting here. Dave, hi Dave, is about to start cutting this thing where we've got some lines around here for his tentative area of where he's going to trim this baby out. Conscious of trying to keep structure in this thing, you know, want to go inside of some of these brakes, make sure we have the hinge area all solid, you know, inside of here where these fold over still give a little bit of strength to the system. So going to start slow, see what kind of layers there are. There's also like these second layers of metal in there. So a little curious on how much we're going to be able to get out and get weight out. Every time I come over here to do a little work on this thing with the shop, it seemingly has less and less things in it. You can see now we no longer have a hood. There's no windshield. That's why I got these goggles. We have no cross dash bar anymore, crossbar, whatever I'm trying to say. The HVAC whole assembly thing is out. We got no side windows. We got no rear window. We got no trunk. So it's time for me to take another stab at messing with this thing. And we also, actually, let me get over here again. We have no AC. The AC compressor was down in there. It actually gives amazing access to a lot of stuff in this area, so that's pretty awesome. We got a belt on here for the AC delete. Still working on what the exact belt size is we're going to use. That was a belt we got out of a old bin. That's a 4 rib. We need to find the 8 rib version for that. That's going to work properly. Also have a little heater core delete action. We got that cap there, and then there's another cap, wherever it is. Hey, there it is. Right there for where the lines would go back to the heater core. So now that is also done, which meant that we needed to bleed the cooling system because we had cracked the system. And guess what? To bleed the cooling system, there's typically a whole little climate control area over here that you've got to have a sequence of turning a light on, pushing the fan to a certain speed at a certain temp, and that's how you bleed the system. We don't have that, but we still have all the stuff, and everything is still intact. So we plugged this stuff back in. This is like a control module box that was on top of the blower area, and this was required to get this to turn on, and then we were able to get it to bleed. So we are going to have to figure out a bleeding solution, maybe come up with some bleed valve or something in this system as we strip these cars out to make this more easily available to bleed. Well, we got a lot of stuff out of this thing now. I got my goggles. I'm about to go take this thing for another round of test drives. It's pretty noisy now that I have access to hearing the engine right now. Good old direct injection engines, quite a noisy little thing. It's a little windy too. We are testing things in this right now. I've made a couple runs up and back on my little test area of seeing what codes may come back. I'm trying to work with the coder to confirm what all we can actually get pulled back out of this thing, because clearly we've thrown a lot. Thrown, taken, removed, I don't know. A lot of stuff is out of this, so we need to make sure everything runs right. And honestly, it's actually been running very well. I still have a ton of codes, pulling the codes now, and then going to go do another run to see what comes back so that I can send that to the coder and see what he says, if we're in trouble or not. We'll see what happens, but time to saddle up and get up out of here. So I kind of can't believe that with all of this stuff out of here, it still runs as well as it does and everything works as well as it does. Paddles still work, sport mode still work, traction control, we're taking, turning that off all still works. I'm feeling super pumped and excited to get this thing caged and get this thing turned into a race car and then understand where we're at weight-wise. That's like the other big thing looming in my head is I can just see, I'm seeing so much weight out of this thing, and I think that's going to be a massive performance piece of this car. So really looking forward to seeing where we land on this. All right, I think we're about ready for cage stuff. So time to clean up, get some of the wires like pulled away from the wall so that they can, so that we can get the plinth boxes and support structures in place. And then we'll start doing some more cage things. Moment of truth. This thing is about to get to the next phase of cage design things. But before we throw a cage in this bad boy, I want to see what it weighed. It doesn't have HVAC, windows, sunroof, seats, anything. What's your guess? Insert long pause while you guess. I had a guess. I was just going to cry if it wasn't sub 3,000. Fortunately, it is sub 3,000 pounds. We are at 2763. All right. 2763. We got a lot of weight to put back in this because we've got to put the glass back in, seat, the cage. But realistically, I'm feeling pretty good on this. Cage weighs, what do you think cage weighs? 200 pounds? 180 to 220, somewhere in there? Seat, another, was the glass heavy in this thing? Yeah, I think the glass has got a little chunk of weight. But I'm feeling pretty good about that target 3132 that I was shooting for in my head. Maybe I mentioned that earlier, or what we want this thing to be. So still curious where it's actually going to land once everything gets back together, because everything does add up and you forget all the little bits and pieces that make things add weight. Fire system, belts, I don't know, nets, all the stuff, fuel, me. Anyways, looking forward to seeing where this lands after we get the cage in and all the stuff put back together, but feeling really good about the weight right now. So that's going to wrap up this phase, and we'll circle back after we get the cage stuff in and get more information on that. Be sure to subscribe, stay tuned for more info on this project. Hit that like button, leave us a comment.
Where we're going to set some of the primary bars. The main hoop back as far as we can. Cage kit that needs to suit a range of driver sizes. Where do we run this thing? We got a lot of structure up here. Safety first.
Going to this location on the rear wheel housing, X between the bars so that everything is triangulated, has that load path.
I think the result's going to be pretty awesome on this.
You ready to go? Should be an awesome race weekend.
We are ready to kill it this year.
It's good.
It's going to be a wild ride.